Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. On this episode, we're going to be working from Ashley Christensen's and Caitlin Golan's It's Always Freezer Season. And we made caramelized onions. So you should have seen that video before this one. If not, I'll link it right up here. And this was her recipe for caramelized onions. It did end up taking me a little bit longer, but the good thing is I have 5 of these. These are half-cup portions that are going in the freezer that I will have caramelized onions to use in all sorts of things. And today we're going to be using these to make what she calls a line cook's grilled cheese. I was trying to see, there's an onion tart in here you can use it to make, which seems like I would love it, but my kids probably wouldn't. You could make a roasted beet salad. I think that's about all for these, but caramelized onions have so many uses. You could use these for the pinch me Frenchy bread that I made from This Will Make It Taste Good. I'll link that up here. And I was thinking about maybe adding a little bit of sugar, making a little bit of sort of caramelized onion jam and putting it with goat cheese on a burger. Somebody suggested that was one of their favorite burgers, and since I don't know where to get one of those here, I'd have to do it myself, but I think this would be a great place to start for onion jam. But let's go ahead and put together our line cook's grilled cheese. My oven is preheating to 400 degrees. I don't usually do this when I make a grilled cheese, but for this one, she toasts the sandwich on the stove and then finishes it in the oven to sort of make sure all the cheese is melted. And for the cheese, we've got a mixture of cheese. On both of these, I've sort of measured out the cheese, but it's at least 3 different types on both of these. I've got some aged cheddar. We think this was Gouda. This is some Fontina. This one also has the aged cheddar, and I think this is Fontina, a different kind. She says to use thinly sliced cheese board cheese. So basically a cheese that you would, eat by itself, not just plain American or anything like that. Although an American cheese, grilled cheese, is delicious and I love it still. With a cup of tomato soup, it's just the perfect sick food. Anyway, so I've separated these. We're gonna make 2 different sandwiches. The recipe is for 1, but I'm gonna make 2 of them. I'm gonna cook them separately though, just to make sure that I'm not a little bit, that it doesn't, I don't crowd the pan. It doesn't work because, I'm not doing it quite right. So she says to do this in a small skillet. No, she says to put it on a small rimmed baking sheet. So let me get one of those prepared. Okay. I would normally just put it in the oven in the pan. Might burn it though, because the pan holds more heat than the baking sheet that will not be already hot. Anyway, so other ingredients besides the cheese, we have some unsalted butter for the pan. I have some whole grain mustard. I have some stone ground mustard, which I was going to use, but I saw this and I know she calls for a whole grain mustard. So this is the only stuff I could find at my grocery store today, which means I should probably go ahead and open that. There we go. And some mayonnaise. Whatever you like for both of those will be just fine. I'm going to measure the amounts for those because why not? And so open up both of them and open up our caramelized onions. So we're going to put mustard on one slice and mayonnaise on the other slice. So let me measure that out. Good enough. I bought pre-sliced sourdough bread. That's the bread that she calls for this. I'm sure any bread that you like will be fine, but we went with with what she asks for, which is sourdough. But mine isn't a really rustic sourdough. It's a pre-sliced one from the grocery store because that's what I could find today. So I'm gonna set that in there, and we're just gonna spread these on the slices. And I think what I'm gonna do is toast up both of them and then put them in the oven at the same time so that they'll both be done at the same time, because the oven really won't be a problem like the pan. Now, on the slice with the mayonnaise, arrange the caramelized onions. So this is enough for both of these sandwiches. So I'm just gonna put about half on each. It's a lot. It's a lot. So that will be very oniony. I think I might not have gotten it quite divided evenly, but that is okay. We can fix it. There we go. So there we have the onions all spread out. And then on the slice with the mustard, arrange the cheese in an even layer. So this is going to be more than one layer because this is a lot of cheese. So I'm going to kind of make sure that we get a little bit of everything on every piece, I think, if I can. Sure. All right, close enough. Oops, I missed one. There we go. I think I have a little bit more cheese, but not by a whole lot than what she asks for. So, now press them together to form a sandwich. That part, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I'm gonna put these on my plates so that we can transfer it easily. I'm gonna go turn my stove on to medium high, and I've got some butter in the skillet, unsalted butter, like I said. And when that melts, we're gonna toast one side for 4 minutes, lift it up, put the same amount of butter back in the skillet, let it melt, turn it over, toast the sides. I'll probably show you that just sort of with my camera rather than setting everything up over there. But so let me go do that, and then I'm gonna clean up and put some stuff in the refrigerator. So I melted the butter, and I am toasting this. She says for 4 minutes. We will see how long that takes for us. It took like a minute at medium-high heat to toast it like that, and I'm glad I checked it because it was on its way to getting burnt. 4 minutes would have been really burnt. Since we're gonna put these in the oven, yeah, I'm not too concerned. I turned the heat down to medium, and I'm gonna watch the other side, see how long that one takes at medium instead of medium-high heat. Okay, it took like 3 minutes, maybe more like 2 to 3 minutes for the other side to get this brown at medium heat. Of course, the pan was already medium-high hot, so we'll see how long the other sandwich takes, but I'm not gonna put it in the oven until they are both ready to go in the oven. So it took about 2 minutes for this sandwich to get that brown. I know some of that dark is probably from the previous iteration of butter being a little brown in the bottom of the pan, but I think 2 to 3 minutes, even at medium heat, is probably where we'll go with this. As soon as this one is done, I'm going to put them both in the 400-degree oven for about 8 minutes. calling that brown enough for us. I'm gonna put these in the oven for 8 minutes. My timer hasn't quite gone off yet, but I'm fairly certain, that was hot, that the cheese is fully melted because it's oozing out everywhere. So I'm gonna put these on my cutting board and I'm gonna cut these into quarters. She says just cut them in half to serve. I'm gonna cut them in quarters so that the whole family can try both combinations just to see which one we like better. So in just a second, we'll let you know what we think. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make a line cook's grilled cheese with the caramelized onions from Ashley Christensen's and Caitlin Golan's It's Always Freezer Season cookbook. So this is one of the recipes in the book that she uses the caramelized onions for. It's a very flexible recipe based on what cheeses you like, what cheeses you think go together. It's a very cheesy sandwich. It's a very rich sandwich. Mine took a little less time than hers as far as browning and then melting the cheese in the oven. It did not need quite as much time as her recipe says, but that's something that you can easily adjust as it goes. Check the bottom of your sandwich and turn it over if you need to, take it out of the pan and then finish it in the oven. Now, I don't do that with my grilled cheeses that I make here at home. My kids don't love grilled cheese, but we do make them relatively often, such that, I have a method that I prefer. And usually I cook mine a little bit lower heat, sort of medium to medium low, and I put the lid on so that it sort of acts as an oven. So it cooks it a little bit more slowly. You still get the nice crispy brown outside. None of the water from the lid, the condensation usually falls on the sandwich, so it doesn't mess that up. And the cheese melts sort of at the same rate as the browning of the sandwich. But however you like to make sandwiches, we really enjoyed this sandwich. It was, it was a lot of great cheeses. The onions were a nice touch, and I liked the mustard on it. It had added a little bit of a nice tang to the sandwich, which, is unexpected. My husband felt it was a little bit rich with the mayonnaise and the butter and all of the cheese. It was a very ooey gooey type sandwich. My son did not love the onions on it, but that's what was the goal for this, to put the caramelized onions on. Whatever. Made him eat it, but I probably won't make it for him again. I don't know if my daughter will ask for it again, but she did eat it. He said he liked the mustard, but did not like the onions on it. But this is a recipe you can certainly do with what you want, the bread you like, the cheeses you like, the mustard you like, mayo or no mayo. I think I would enjoy this with maybe some goat cheese in place of the mayo and a little bit of melty cheese too. And I might have to try that. But I have a bunch of caramelized onions in the freezer that I can try that with, so we will see. If you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me make something else next week.